Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Out and about today on this absolutely beautiful day for a bit of a ride on my bikes for a change. Got a little bit of a, well, it's a problem, but I don't expect any sympathy from me whatsoever. But if you fancy coming for a ride and a bit of a vloggage, stick around, stay tuned. Let's see what we get up to. Okay, so welcome back to the channel, folks, and one of those rare occasions where I'm actually riding my own bikes for a change, and that is the problem of which I speak. It's a great problem to have, so as I say, I'm not expecting any sympathy whatsoever. I get to ride so many bikes from different manufacturers and so on, but I don't actually ride the bikes that I own myself very often. So on the odd occasion when you get a day like this, I mean, look at this weather, it's absolutely stunning. It's about 17 degrees according to the Ducati's temperature gauge. Recently I mentioned an outside air temperature gauge, and somebody said, when have you ever had an indoor temperature gauge on a motorcycle? Well, that's a very good point. Anyway, 17 degrees, sunny, dry. Thought I'd bring the Panigale out to stretch its legs, because it very rarely gets to go on this bike, and it is a beautiful thing to own. I absolutely love it. But not only do I not ride this very often, but I don't ride my other bikes very much too, so whilst I've got a spare hour or two, I'm just going to give a few of my bikes a little stretch. So I thought I'd bring the camera along just for the heck of it, because I did a vloggy type video a little while ago on my GS, and it got pretty good views actually for a vlog. I was quite surprised, and many people said you should do more of these general rambling type vlogs. So that is entirely what I expect this to be, a general rambling type vlog. Okay, anyway, here we are. This is the approach to Great Missenden. Let's go down this way. There's an awful lot of roadworks and stuff around at the moment, and the roads are terrible in terms of potholes. So I'm not sure it's ideal Panigale territory. I mean, look at the holes on this roundabout here. Look, these massive dips. If you didn't know they were there, they would have you off on your bike. Oh, there's a couple of bikes. What do we got here? Moto Guzzi. Hello, sir. Great cafe there, by the way, if you're ever in the Missenden area. It's called Matilda's, and you can actually leave your bike outside like those chaps have done. I go there quite a lot with Mrs. Flyer. An excellent breakfast, or indeed lunchtime sarnie or wrap, if that's your thing. Anyway, it's called Matilda's because Great Missenden is the home, or was the home, of Roald Dahl. He is the author of things like Charlie the Chocolate Factory, etc. In fact, there's a museum just here, this sort of bluish building, look, where it says, "It is truly swizz-fizzingly, flush-bunkingly gloriumptious." I think that is a Roald Dahl line. If it's not, then the people that wrote it there should be taken away and killed. Anyway, so there's a Roald Dahl museum there, but I'm not recommending that particularly. I've never been in there, to be honest, but that is why Matilda's is called Matilda's, because I think Matilda was a character in one of the Roald Dahl books. Anyway, I digress. Oh, listen to that Ducati sound. Of course, my Ducati is an 899. It's a 2015 899 Panigale. Didn't make these for very long. Only did them for, I think, for about 3 years, something like that. So over time, though, may become a bit of a rarer model. I'm hoping this one will become a classic, because it's definitely a keeper for me, I've decided. It just makes me smile when I'm on it. Yes, it's not the fastest sports bike you can buy. No, it hasn't got all the latest electronics. Yes, it's very uncomfortable. No, I don't ride it very... I don't know why I'm saying yes and no, by the way. You could say either, couldn't you, to these points I'm making. Anyway, I don't ride it very often for those reasons. And let's face it, I'm too old and crusty and sensible to be a sports bike person. I do just love owning it, and for, you know, the stuff that is good about bikes, i.e. how they make you feel, this one delivers in spades. What have we got going on here? A whole peloton of cyclists. There's something else that you get a lot of around the Great Missenden Way, cyclists. We're all here to share the roads, but they tend to like the same roads as I do, which is a bit of a shame. Cyclists at weekends, white vans during the week. Those are the things to look out for. Anyway, the Panigale, what's it done? Since I've had it in 2015, I bought it new. 4,168 miles. Not much, is it? Barely running. But yeah, I just love the fact But I always have a grin on my face when I'm riding this. It has that certain Ducati specialness about it. I've only ever got from Ducatis, I don't know why it is. It's something to do with Italian red machines and a pothole to avoid. Just listen to this when you wind her up. Okay, she may not be the quickest, but she is quick enough, I can tell you. What a beast. Only really comes alive above 7,000 RPM. So like all modern sports bikes, you're going to be herring around at ridiculous speeds to get real fun out of it. So really, I guess track days are the place to take it. And I have done a couple of track days on this. If you're a new viewer to the channel and you're interested, then if I remember, I'll stick a link in the corner to one of your track day vids. I recommend anyone take a track day, by the way. If you've not done one, you're considering it, do have a go, because it absolutely shows you what your bike can do. And on the last track day up at Silverstone, I took this, I went down the Hanger Straight and recorded, I think it was 154 miles an hour before I ran out of road and had to brake as the corner was coming. Made me realise that yes indeed, this is a quick bike. And on this nice warm day, or relatively warm, I'm going to have a load of Australians now saying 17 degrees centigrade, that's not warm. It's actually 18 now, by the way. But trust me, we've just got through a blighty winter. 18 degrees on a bike. Just wearing your jeans and jacket and no thermal undergarments. It's an absolute treat to be out. Yeah, lovely to be on the Panigale again. And although I said it was uncomfortable, I've now got this comfort seat fitted on here that I showed you when I did my garage walk around. And I have to say, it does make a difference to the comfort. I've made a little review all about the comfort seat because a lot of people asked me if it was worth shelling out on them, so there will be a review coming up on that, if indeed it's not already up on the channel. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to publish this video. Oh, and into a 30. Brakes are pretty good too. This is the other approach to Great Missenden. This is the way that Bruce came down with Simon Weir when he outrageously popped through Great Missenden on a video a few months back and never came and popped in for a cup of tea. Anyway, I'll forgive him. The old Panigale does run warm though. In the winter it's great, but I can feel the heat just wafting up off the back end onto my backside. It's actually quite pleasant, but if it was a properly hot day, in the Australian sense of the word, that would quickly get old. Anyway, love the engine in this. Big fan of what Ducati now call their V2 engine. Certainly goes like a rocket. Okay, so from one very much thrill machine to another thrill machine, but for different reasons. On now to my trusty Royal Enfield custom bike. Hello, road ahead closed. How annoying. Roads you always want, always closed. At the moment there seems to be an awful lot of closed roads, I don't know why. But yeah, this bike seems to have caused an awful lot of controversy and conversation on the channel. I don't know why, it was just a little project of mine. I got a bit of a drubbing for not doing the quotes customisation work myself on it, because people tell me that the stuff I've had done isn't really proper customisation and I could have done it myself in the garage in a couple of hours work. Well, that may be true, although I beg to differ. I know my level of skill. But regardless of what some of my critics think of the bike, I absolutely love it. And again, like the Panigale, this is a keeper. I'm never going to take it on long tours and things like that. I've got other bikes for that. But for riding out on beautiful days like today around the lanes, it's an absolute cracker. And unlike the Panigale, you can give this one the beans and you're not going at stupidly ridiculous speeds. Feels like you are though. But really it's a bike just to enjoy a Sunday afternoon's ride in the sunshine on the local back lanes. It's a corker, I love it. Saw some pictures the other day of that new Royal Enfield that's about to come out. Well, I say about to come out, I'm not too sure it's coming out. It's the one based on the Himalayan. It's even better value than the Interceptor, and they've kind of done a nice paint job on it and made it into more of a sort of a scrambler. I can't actually remember what it's called, something like the Scrambler 411 or something, but I think it looks absolutely ace, and it's set to be a great value bike to buy as well. Even less money, they reckon, than the Interceptor, and I can't remember how much these are, but they're about £6,000 I think. But that new Himalayan based bike, I think it's going to be near a 5, which is just incredible. Hello, white van alert. So although I definitely haven't got space for another bike at the moment in my garage, I look forward to hopefully having a go on that new version of the Himalayan, or Himalayan as it's properly pronounced, once it's available to me. Cool, it's busy out today. Where's everybody going? I don't know if you're like me, but I like to come out on these rides and just randomly ride, and over the years since I've been doing that in this area, the last 10 years or so, I've pretty much randomly ridden every road there is around here. And it's just a great way to explore your local area, because, you know, I wouldn't come down these roads otherwise. That's a lovely house up there, look at that, beautiful. But on a day when I've got nothing else in particular to do, it's a good way to spend a few hours just exploring your local area. And that is what the Interceptor is all about for me. It's my local smile bike. If I'm not feeling in a mood for a stupidly quick, highly concentrated blat, I just want to enjoy the scenery, this is the bike to do it on. As I mentioned, it has been a sort of a project bike, and you know, projects are never finished, are they? It's an ongoing project, so I will keep giving it a few little tweaks. Oh hello, road closed that way, let's go this way then. Well, I suspect that's the same road, the other end of what we saw before. And the next tweak due on my custom Interceptor is to get the seat looked at again, because it's not quite right as it is at the moment, and also it's a little bit, the padding in it is a little bit too soft, and occasionally if you go over a big bump it sort of bottoms out, so it could do with a little bit firmer foam, I think. Oh, look at these daffodils, beautiful. I'm recording this in case you're wondering, just in the local environs of Great Missenden, and the date is the 26th of March. It's actually a Saturday. It's been a cracking week of weather, I understand. And I say I understand because I've been lucky enough to be away on holiday last week. I was away in the mountains enjoying some sunshine there, and isn't it annoying when you're away on holiday and everybody tells you that weather at home is great? But anyway, the weather is set to go downhill in the next week. Which is slightly annoying, so I intend to do quite a lot of bike riding. On Monday I'm off to Ducati UK to pick up the Street Fighter V2. Really looking forward to riding that. Bringing you plenty of videos of course on that bike. Oh, bit of bridge action. And yeah, so I'm going to have the Ducati Street Fighter V2, a bike I've been wanting to ride for ages, for a couple of weeks. Really looking forward to getting to know it, and of course the weather's going downhill, it's such a shame. But anyway, hopefully it'll mean I'll be able to ride it in all sorts of conditions, and bring you one of my in-depth reviews on that. Can't wait for that. But at this precise moment I don't have any other loan bikes in my garage, which is why it's a good excuse to come out on my own bikes. Alright, what shall I do next then? Let's go and see which is the easiest one to get out of the garage. And now for something completely different once again. Not really a backlane scratcher, but I have to say the mighty Goldwing is pretty good on any roads. Although there's no doubt it's more of a long distance cruiser than a back lane scratcher, as it were. But as I say, surprisingly capable nonetheless, and an absolutely incredible bike. I never ever thought I would become a Goldwing person, but here I am, riding my own Goldwing. I absolutely love this thing. Now I bought this back in 2020, was it? Or back end of 2019? Basically just the year before the pandemic kicked off. Bought it having borrowed the bike from Honda UK. Went on a bit of a tour in Wales. If you haven't seen that one, I did that with the missus. I'll put a link in the corner. Go and check that out. Love the bike so much, I asked Honda if I could buy it off them, and they duly obliged, and I've had the bike ever since. And the reason why Mrs. Flyer agreed to me buying the bike, I should have gone then, bother. What's this person doing? Thought they were going to turn then for a minute. Love this stop start thing on here. Yeah, the reason why Mrs. Flyer agreed to let me buy the bike was because we intended the following year to do a bit of a tour down to Italy on it, and of course the pandemic struck, and that was the end of that plan. So a real shame that we didn't get to do that. That said, you know, still got the bike. There's other years. I don't think it's going to be this year, sadly. Now we've got other plans, but yeah, we do want to try a bit of transcontinental travel on this thing. Loving my reflection in the back of that Polo. Lights on this thing are just incredible. Even the indicators are impressive. One of the things I love about this is just the sheer road presence of it. You can't fail to but be seen when you're on a Goldwing. And my goodness me, does this thing waft you along in comfort and luxury. I've never ever ridden a more comfortable bike than this, I have to say. You know, you can ride your cruisers, your Harleys and things like that, and they are comfortable. Although with your feet forward you tend to get that bone jarring through the back. Whereas on this, your feet are in just the right position. Armchair-like position. Big wide handlebars. Super padded seat, even with a little bit of support at the base of your back. You could just sit on here for hour after hour and munch off the miles. And then the other great thing about this bike is this sublime 6-cylinder engine on here. Not only is it super grunty everywhere, and combined with the DCT gearbox that this has got, it makes for really lazy riding. But also, because it's a Boxer configuration, a horizontally opposed set of cylinders, the weight is low down. So even though it's some massive weight, this bike, can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but it's in the 300s, which sounds ridiculous. It's actually very, very easy to ride. When you come to a stop, it's not ponderous, even with two people on the bike. And then with Honda's clever creep modes, both forward and back, you can manoeuvre it around your garage very, very easily. Makes it really easy to live with. So yeah, for 2-up touring, this is the bike to have. Wouldn't have one as my only bike, because even having said all that about it being easy to live with, which it is, you know, that's for the sort of bike it is. It's not really a bike that would be a do-it-all, although if you lived in Australia or the US, perhaps it could be. Nothing behind me, let's just nip by this. Such massive dollops of power out of this 1800cc engine. The suspension, even on these bumpy old Great Missenden roads, is just brilliant. I love it. So yeah, never thought it would happen, but I've very much become a Goldwing convert. Alrighty, what's next? So from one big beast to another, and on to my possibly my favourite bike of all time, my trusty GS. And I say my favourite bike of all time. That, yeah, probably is true, thinking about it. This, as far as I'm concerned, is the ultimate do-it-all. I think this is now my oldest bike of the bikes that I've got. Now I've sold my Street Triple. But it still rides as good as the first day I bought it. Absolutely love the GS, and after the Goldwing, feels remarkably light. And again, although the GS on paper isn't a light bike, quite heavy, in fact, I don't know, 240 kilograms, something like that, because of that Boxer configuration, carries its weight nice and low. It just does not feel heavy at all. It's so much low down grunt just where you need it. It's the perfect bike for doing everything. Even scratching down the back lanes like this, it's brilliant fun. Absolutely love the GS, super comfy. I've got my, I've taken out my winter seat now, the heated seat off, the Wunderlich aftermarket one, and put the standard seat back on, which I have to say is a lot more comfortable. Wunderlich make great play on that heated seat, that it's anatomically designed and is more comfortable than the standard seat. Well, I must have a strange shaped backside, because I find this standard seat on the GS really comfy. In my last sort of garage talk, I was talking about changing the tyres and asking if anybody had any advice, so thank you to everybody that gave me some advice. I have indeed decided to get some sorry, I'm going to concentrate there for a moment, it's overtook. I've decided to get some Michelin tyres. I've forgotten the I've forgotten the model. I'll put the name on the screen. It's the 06 variant. They're on order at the moment, so I haven't got them on the bike yet, but looking forward to getting those and to give them a try on the bike, see if they make any material difference to the handling, because the back tyre on this is slightly squared off and sometimes the handling goes off, isn't it? It's not terrible on here, but in the recent wet weather through the winter, I did have one or two moments where the back end slipped a little bit and had to be caught by the traction control. I think just because they're squaring off, it's losing a little bit of grip at the back end, so I want to get that sorted. And the other thing that I've noticed with the GS, only this one, and just wondered if people that know more about these things than me had any views on what it might be, is that I get a bit of a whiff of petrol from the bike. In fact, I'm getting it now. I mean, it is full, as you can see, it's full of fuel. I filled her up on the last ride. But I don't think it's anything to do with it. I do seem to often smell petrol on this bike. Anyone got any ideas as to why that might be? And incidentally, I am now running all my bikes on E5 fuel, which is that 5% stuff that I talked about in one of my previous videos, otherwise known as super or super unleaded, just because you get better miles per gallon out of that than you do the 10% methanol fuels, which is your standard unleaded in this country. And although it's a fair bit more expensive, when you do the maths, it turns out the extra miles you get means it actually works out cheaper per mile than the E10 variant, and with petrol prices going as they are, that's a welcome plus. Anyway, the GS was the subject of my last vlog, and I should be riding this a lot on Monday, because it's probably the bike I should take up to Ducati to pick up that Street Fighter. So let's move on to I think the last of today's rides. So last but by no means least on this little bit of vloggage on my bikes for a change, my splendid Tramp Speed Twin, an awesome machine. Another retro bike like the Royal Enfield, but unlike the Enfield, this one's got absolutely loads of go. 1200cc engine out of what is it out of? I can't remember. The Thruxton, I think, had it first, but it's also in things like the Bobber and the Speedmaster, the T120 Bonneville, and this I think is the high torque version, if I remember right. I might be wrong, there's two versions, probably guessed it wrong. But whatever it's called, what I love about this engine is its torque. It's just got bags of grunt, this. And it goes like a stink as well if you want it to. You can really wind it up, but again, like the Royal Enfield, what I really use this bike for is riding around the lanes and enjoying the view. But if you want to go quick, you really can on this. It's a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it sounds epic as well. I don't know if the mic is picking up the pops and bangs out the back of the exhaust as I come down here idle. It's fabulous. So it sort of begs the question, I guess, why have I got two retro bikes? Why have I got the Speed Twin and the Enfield then? Well, it's a bit of a story. I can't remember if I've ever told it before on my channel, but I'll tell it to you now if you like. Basically, I wanted a retro bike, and the Enfields had just come on the scene. I was kind of blown away by the Interceptor, as so many people were. So I put one of those on order, and it took absolutely ages to come. It was like 6 months or something before I could get my hands on the bike. And during the time when the bike was on order, a subscriber contacted me who said that he'd seen my review of the Speed Twin and how much I loved it, which I did, and therefore would I be interested in buying his. Well, what's going on here? So basically, long story short, he'd bought a Speed Twin, and due to some medical issues was unable to ride it, and he'd only just bought it. He'd only done about 400 miles on it, and he basically made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I had no intention of having two retro bikes, but I ended up buying the Speed Twin actually before I got hold of the Interceptor, even though that was on order, as I say. So I ended up with two retro bikes. Now they are, as I've mentioned, both quite different. The Interceptor is all about the way it makes you feel, the fact that you can rag it around without going at silly speeds. This bike, however, is better in every way, there's no doubt about it. I mean, so it should be. If you buy new of either bike, then this bike is about twice the cost of the Interceptor new. So it should be better. But it is, the quality of it, the build quality is better, the ride quality is better, it goes better, it sounds better, everything about the Speed Twin is better than the Royal Enfield, as you'd expect. And I've really grown to love this bike. I loved it anyway when I did my original test ride all those years back. It's probably about 2018, something like that, when I first rode one, when they first came out. And this one I bought in 2019, as I say, nearly new, with 400 miles on the clock. So thank you to that kind subscriber that sold the bike to me. He's got a first refusal on it if he ever wants to buy it back, and he can have it at the same price that I bought it from. So that seems fair enough. But I really love it, and if I'm absolutely honest, if I only had one retro bike in the garage, it would be this. So that gives me a bit of a problem as well, and another good problem, I suppose. Now, having spent the time and money and effort getting the Interceptor up to snuff, should I sell this? Well, as I said, this is the better bike, so I really don't want to sell it. In hindsight, what I should have done was got this bike customised, had that fancy paint job done on this, and maybe put some slightly knobblier tyres on here or something, and then I could have sold the Interceptor. But as it's turned out, I've got a unique Interceptor, which I love because it is unique, and I've got this bike, which I love because it's just a great bike. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that in the long term. We shall have to see. Goodness me, this road is rather pockmarked. Anyway, but yeah, Speed Twin, awesome bike. And the new ones even more so. So this is a 2019 model year. They've done some updates to the bike since I bought this, and now it's even better, way more agile feeling. The steering on the new one is much better, suspension's better, and it is a great bike. Best of the retros by far, or of those I've ridden, that's for sure. Let's go this way. Right, anyway, there we go. That's all the legs stretched on my bikes for today. What a beautiful day it's been. Hope you've enjoyed this sort of random marvel once again about all things motorbike. If you have, do let me know. If you've got any hints and tips for me, let me know in the comments below. Always glad to read those. And if you've not come across the channel before, do consider subscribing. It'd be great to have you along to the next one. Alright, look forward to speaking to you then. Until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio.